Knee pain is not a lot of fun, and unfortunately it's a very common situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a little simple plan, a little rehab plan that you can just do at home. You need a little bit of equipment, foam roller, maybe a roll gun. I'll put a link down below in case you guys don't have any of these things yet. The plan is going to consist of doing some trigger point work, some strengthening of the quads and the glutes, and then follow that up by doing some static stretching at the end to see if we can't get a little bit more range of motion and a little bit more strength out of our knees. You ready to get started? Here we go. The first thing we have to do if we're having any knee pain is establish whether or not we have any trigger points or myofascial trigger points in the quads. I'm not a big fan of foam rolling, the IT band, which is directly lateral to the knee here, and I'll tell you why. Because it's very painful and most people will stop doing it. So you don't get a lot of bang for your buck. But what I do want to do is break the quad up into 3 sections. So we'll do the lateral quad, not quite the IT band, but the lateral quad. We'll hit the top part of the quad, and then we're going to hit the inside. I'm going to start off by doing the front of my quads, both sides together. Because my legs are long, I'm going to break it up into sections. So first I'm working the top part of the quad. By leaning a little bit to my right, I emphasize the right quad if I want a little bit more pressure on there. Now the idea is that if I find a sore spot, I want to linger there for about 30 to 60 seconds. There's different ways of working trigger points, and I'll put a link right up above for 6 different ways in which you can work a trigger point. And the idea is to find a way in which works best for you. And I'm going to work my way down just a little bit, all the way to the top of that patella or the kneecap. I'm going to rotate just a little bit. Now I'm emphasizing the outside of my left and the inside of my right, checking for sore spots. Now I'm working here, the outside of my right, the inside of my left. And it's that same concept all the way up and down. Now I'm going to check the lateral side of my left. A better way to get the inside or the adductor muscle is to have the foam roller along the side right through here. Top hand's going to help control the mobility of it, and I'm going to check the inside of that thigh. Oftentimes there's going to be a sore spot right down by the knee, then also a little bit higher up. If I find something that's sore, make sure you toe down with your foot. If you find something that's sore, it's about 60 seconds of working it. You can put a little bit of movement into here as well too, but the whole idea is to create a little bit of mobility in that sore spot, and eventually the tenderness will start to decrease. After we do the foam rolling, we're going to go straight into some simple quad strengthening exercise. Bend the opposite leg. I want you to, in this example, I'm going to work my left quad, do a little bit of a posterior tilt or an imprint, basically push your low back down into the floor to protect the back, your scapular in the back pocket, and then I'm going to come up, touch and go. Nice and slow. You want to try to keep the leg as straight as you can. You're going to try to pull your toes up towards your head. And this is about the speed I want you to go. You're just going to touch and go. If you want to make this harder, coming up onto your elbows makes it a little bit harder. Coming up onto your hands makes it even harder. I want you to shoot for 3 sets of 20 to 25 repetitions. Now we're going to get into some glute strengthening here. The easiest way to get glute strengthening is just to do a simple bridge. Up and back down. In this example, I'm working my left leg. If I want the left leg to do a little bit more work, I scoot that towards my butt a little bit more, and I straighten out my right leg. So my legs are staggered. I'm going to come up into my bridge and back down. In this example, since my left leg is further back, my left glute is firing a bit more. If I want to go next level to make it harder, I hold the other leg straight and I do a single leg bridge. Starts to get easier. Imagine putting a little 5-pound weight, 10-pound weight right here, coming up and back down. So you can be creative to make that a little bit more challenging. The next thing we do is what's known as a patellar mobilization. And the idea with patellar mobilization is that sometimes on the affected side, the patella gets a little bit tight. So in this example, my left knee is the affected knee, but I'm going to check to see how the patella moves on my non-painful side. I'm going to check side to side. Most of the time, because of the tightness in the IT band and the lateral retinaculum, the patella will oftentimes glide towards the outside. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that you focus on that medial glide, but check it and then check the other side. Oftentimes the involved knee will be a little bit painful, and so the idea is you're going to spend about 3 to 4 minutes working on mobilizing this patella, getting the right patella, getting the involved patella moving as well as the uninvolved patella. So we've done the trigger point work, we've done some strengthening of the quads and the glutes, and now what we'll do is we'll finish up by a little stretching. The first stretch is just your basic quad stretch. We're going to come back through here, and you're going to hold that stretch for a 30-second count. Now let's say, for example, I can't bend my leg all the way up because I'm getting joint pain. We just have to be a little bit creative. In a situation like this, if I can't reach my knee because maybe there's some swelling or there's some pain in there, put your foot back on another chair. Make sure you've got something for a little bit of balance. And the key is that your knee needs to be behind your hip as opposed to in front or even underneath. It needs to be behind. When it's behind, then I can stand up nice and tall. I can open up through the hips a little bit, even drop the support leg and get a nice quad stretch without stressing the joint. Hamstring stretching, pretty straightforward. You're going to put your leg up on a surface high enough. Don't collapse the low back. Try to lean forward a little bit. You can change the angle of your foot a little bit, and that'll change the direction of the hamstring. Find out where you're the tightest, explore that stretch, and then you're going to hold that position for about a 30-second count and repeat that multiple times, 2, 3, 4 times until you feel like there's been an improvement in the overall flexibility. There you go. Now you have no excuses to not start doing some simple rehab at home if you're having any knee pain. Remember, you start off with the foam rolling, then you go into some strengthening, and then you're going to finish up with some stretches. All right? If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so because I would love to hit 10,000 subs by the end of 2020. If you have any questions, please leave them down below, and I hope your knees feel better.